Hello and welcome to Drive-In Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
And this is the podcast where we talk about 2 movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. And it's a big month. We are starting this Tuesday with Razzie Month. We are talking about the worst of the worst according to the Golden Raspberries. So we are going to kick things off with Gigli, which I was really scared. I was thinking about it throughout the week. It's like, did I mispronounce it when I said what movie we're doing? Because the movie is spelled Gigli, but no, I was correct. The movie corrected me, so I'm happy with that. But
they make sure to tell you how his name's pronounced. So it's Gigli, rhymes with really.
Yeah, and everybody's calling him Gigli, Gigli. But this is a really popular flop, maybe one of the most popular, even though nobody saw it. $75 million budget. Don't know where that went. And it only made $7 million. Won the Golden Raspberry for Worst Picture. J-Lo won for Worst Actress. Ben Affleck won for Worst Actor. I want to say it got a few other noms and wins as well. One sec.
I believe Al Pacino and Christopher Walken were both nominated. And I think I can't think of her name right now. Lainey.
Yeah, Lainey Kazan.
Yeah, she was nominated for Worst Supporting Actress.
Yeah, and then it looks like Worst Screen Couple. They went to them. Worst Director, Worst Screenplay went to Martin Brest, which, to continue how much of a flop this movie was, this is the last movie that man made. The last movie that he directed, I should say. He did write one more movie after this, which is crazy because he made Beverly Hills Cop and Midnight Run.
Scent of a Woman.
Scent of a Woman. So it's just crazy that his career would end. Also, I'm wrong. He wrote the original Going in Style, and then he got writing credit on that new one with all the old people in it.
Okay, I know which one you're talking about now.
But anyway, Ben Affleck, Jennifer Lopez, huge couple this time, right? Bennifer,
yeah.
At the height of that. I think this movie is just kind of a mix of like flop. Everyone hated the tabloid couple and just like kind of a mess of a movie. This movie was insane. I actually knew very little about this going into it.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to ask, I mean, you're what, like 5 when this movie came out or something? So
well, hold on. It was 2003, so I was 8. I was 8 years old.
Okay. Well, I was 15.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember when this movie came out pretty well.
Oh, you did? Oh, yeah, I'm sure you were. Yeah, me, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember people just talking about how bad this movie was, like, from the get-go. But, like, I mean, I don't, like, they made a huge deal, though, about, like, back then, like, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, that was, like, nobody could stop talking about them as a couple.
No, I think they were, like, the first couple to, like, have that mixed couple name, the Bennifer, kind of like, oh, they're a couple, let's mix their names together. Like, that's how big they were.
Yeah, and it's just because it was like 2 A-listers, hooking up and everything. So it was a really big deal at the time. And like, I remember too, like during that time frame, they were really trying hard to make Ben Affleck like a mega star.
Yeah, well, he was in 2 other movies this year, Paycheck and Daredevil.
Wow, what a trio.
Yeah, which he was nominated for Razzies for all 3 of those movies.
Yeah, I mean, I was just like, this year, like they went all in on Ben Affleck, and it did not pay off at all. But yeah, I remember, the movie was already kind of like a big joke when it came out, and then, but I never saw it ever because I was like, well,
just like most people,
right? I'm like, well, if it's bad, then no, I'm not gonna watch it. So 20 years later, now I was kind of thinking like, okay, maybe people are just giving this movie a hard time because, Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez were such a big deal. There's probably some dumb moments in there, but it's probably pretty harmless, was what I was thinking before I started this movie.
Yeah, and harmless is not really the right word to use here. Yeah, this movie is just like, It's really interesting, and not for like plot reasons or anything. It's just kind of, you watch this and it's just like, how did this get made? How did this get put together? How did it cost so much? How did, like, it's crazy. Do I think it's one of the worst movies I've ever seen? No, but it's pretty bad. You think it's one of the worst you've ever seen? I saw the look.
It was pretty torturous for me.
Really, I had fun. Like, it was like one of those bad movies where like I had like fun watching it.
Oh no, I was like checking the clock like every
Oh no.
15 minutes. I'm just like, how much more is left of this?
That's so funny. It helps. I split this movie into two, not on purpose. It wasn't like, oh, I gotta leave, but like I watched the first hour, I paused it for a little bit and came back and watched the second hour.
Well, then that doesn't count. You can't put that on Letterboxd.
Then take out a good chunk of movies from there.
Okay,
but no,
episode over.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. I couldn't imagine sitting in the theater for 2 hours and just because I guess one of the weirdest things about this movie is it does lack like a strong plot. The plot is so basic for a 2-hour movie, and a lot of nothing happens. It's kind of crazy. So, I mean, the main gist of this plot is Ben Affleck is a mobster, well, a low-ranking mobster who kills people, but doesn't really. He's like, goes easy on him. He's got a feminine soul, as we'll learn later on in the movie, and he gets tasked by a higher up mobster to kidnap a federal agent's son who happens to be mentally handicapped and played by Doug from The Hangover.
Justin Bartha.
Yeah, Justin Bartha. And then it's just like a hangout movie because Jennifer Lopez, Ricky is her name, that joins in and they have to take care of this kid. Does this sound like an insane movie already? Yes, because it is. Because this the mentally handicapped kid here, he loves rap music, he loves rapping, and he loves Baywatch and Australian accents. Those are like his three favorite things. And they'll come up all the time for the rest of the movie.
And you thought this was good?
I didn't say it was good. I said I had fun. Because it's kind of funny. Like, just the idea, it's just like so bad. And I
was floored because I was watching this. I'm just like you said, I'm like, who thought any of this was a good idea?
I know, I agree.
Like on all levels, it's just awful. I mean, this is the movie where Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez met too. Like, this is how like the couple started, was from working on this movie. And the thing is, though, it's like I felt they had like zero chemistry between each other in this movie.
That's the biggest thing. A lot of people came out of got out of this was like they had no chemistry whatsoever. And I totally agree. It's really awkward between them. And I think that just the lack of chemistry just brings their performances down like a whole nother level. It like really makes it transparent just how bad they're doing. We forgot to mention Ricky is a lesbian, and this is the second Ben Affleck movie where he sleeps with a lesbian. So I don't know, after Chasing Amy, of course, which is so weird. Is this like a thing with him?
Right. I was like, was this like a thing? Like, is there another Ben Affleck movie where he tries to sleep with a lesbian woman?
I hope so.
And I'm like, because he is very pushy in both of those movies.
Yes.
And like very clearly, like, I want to have sex with you. And she's like, and both of the characters were like, no. And then eventually, because they're women, they can't. Ben Affleck's natural charm is just too much for him.
It's funny, Ben Affleck, his directorial debut from like forever ago, the name of that movie is I Killed My Lesbian Wife. I hung her on a meat hook, and now I have a 3-picture deal with Disney. So like he's already talking about having a lesbian wife in 1993. So it's just always been there, I guess.
Wait, what?
Yeah, he directed a movie in 1993 called I Killed My Lesbian Wife, hung her on a meat hook, and now I have a 3-picture deal at Disney. Have you not heard of this movie?
No.
Yes, yeah, I've heard of it. I don't think it's easily available. Like it's hard to find, but hopefully,
He's not even in that. Okay. I thought, all right. I was
yeah, no,
looking at,
yeah, he directed it. But
okay.
that's a tangent. That's a tangent.
Well, that was a short too. Okay.
Yes, yes. But
Which isn't a real movie.
yeah, I wouldn't log that on Letterboxd. Keep that out of my stats, please. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. Ben Affleck playing Gigli, he makes me laugh because he's so bad. It's such a bad performance. He has this accent going on the whole time, and they have like throughout this whole movie what you think is like witty banter, right? Like the whole like, oh, what? How do your fingernails look? And he looks at him like, I don't know, like straight out, like how you'd imagine, like I guess a feminine person would look at him. She's like, oh, I know you were feminine. Men look at your fingernails like up to your face, and it's just like a whole 5-minute sequence of this, and I'm like, how did they keep this in? Because here's the thing: this movie was filmed when they met. A year of editing went into this movie. There was a huge stall in the middle of this. They cut it down, which is crazy to me. And I guess the director calls it a mess of a movie now, like it's finished product. But I couldn't imagine there being even more of this movie, and this is what they chose to keep in.
Well, I mean, I think the director had said like this movie was not the original intention for the movie
Yeah.
because the movie I think was supposed to be a lot more of a comedy type of
Mm-hmm.
aspect of it, and where it was like this kind of like odd couple like having to take care of this mentally handicapped person, and
Mm-hmm.
then but then once like all the tabloids and stuff came out because they did like extensive reshoots too, what I read.
Mm-hmm.
So and I think
Yes.
that's and they said like they rewrote a lot of these scenes and added new scenes, so it's kind of like they were trying to cash in. So I think that's where like the romantic aspect, because if you notice like
Mm-hmm.
the scenes where they have like romantic tension or they're like flirting with each other, like it's just the two of them there and like in the
Yeah.
house, so
Yeah,
it's
and
like it's
usually in
very
the bedroom. Yeah.
so it's a scene obviously that they were like, oh, we can easily reshoot this part, like
Yeah, and that's why I think most of the movie takes place in their apartment or his apartment. And that's kind of what's weird about this movie though, is it's like I said, it's 2 hours of like almost nothing going on. Like it's very, I don't even want to say episodic, just like they're hanging out in the house, sometimes they leave, and then the boy, what's his name?
oh, in
Uh
the movie Brian.
Brian. And Brian's like, I want to see Baywatch. I want to see Baywatch. And Ben Affleck has to pretend that a flashlight's a walkie. And he's like, no, Baywatch is closed today.
Yeah,
It's great.
the
Ryan, why are you not laughing? Come on.
yeah, why wouldn't I
It's just
I
baffling.
I I tell you, I mean, this is like one of the, I mean, again, I don't use the word often. This movie was cringe. Like the dialogue was just so bad for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was just like uncomfortably like embarrassed like listening to this movie, like
Mm-hmm.
when like Ben Affleck is just describing how like the perfect the like a penis is like the perfect appendage, and it's
Oh,
like
that scene was so that one was hard to watch because
I,
it's
like
so long.
it's so long. He's describing a penis to Jennifer Lopez, and it's just like he's
Well,
and this is like trying to turn her on type of thing, and like trying to persuade her to do
uh-huh.
that, and then she counters, and it's like, well, what's the vagina's twin sister? It's the mouth, and then she's like describing like different orifices, and it's just like I am so done with this conversation. Like,
Yeah, and once again, that scene is like 5 minutes long. I was ready for I was calling Jennifer Lawrence, Jennifer Lopez, to stop talking about how the mouth is just like a vagina. I was like, can you can we please get over this conversation? Um, and of course, I'd rather watch Brian watching his like cartoons, his TBS show, and all that. That's fine by me. Calling Australian weather because he loves her accent. God, but
what?
they make him say some of the worst like things. I hated it. Like I mean, what I'm about to say is a little graphic, but like this part, I was like, I can't believe they let this into a movie. So he loves Baywatch, and he's like, oh, I love the girls on Baywatch. They make my penis sneeze, and I was like, oh, oh God. And he's like, yeah, I say God bless you every time it happens. I was like, God, I can't believe they performed this for the camera.
And so, like, obviously, like when they nominated Christopher Walken and Al Pacino, it's because they're two huge names, and I don't even think they're the worst aspects of this movie. But
No,
my point was, I was going to say is that I think I was surprised Justin Bartha was not nominated for this movie, because I was like,
I agree.
It's like, again, it's like a really embarrassing performance where it's like he's trying really hard to seem mentally handicapped, and it's just like, it's really bad in my opinion.
No, it comes off really just like bad, and sometimes it just sounds like he's doing like an accent, and like, I don't know,
it's very insulting, I think.
I agree. It's a very, very bad portrayal. It's like what you would jokingly make a portrayal, like, oh, this is, like what an actor would do if he played like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder, like kind of like that, like poking fun. But no, he's really going for it.
What were you going to say though about Al Pacino and Christopher Walken?
Here's the thing: they stand out because how little they're in this movie, and how like their scenes almost. Al Pacino's scenes mean something. Christopher Walken's means absolutely nothing to them.
I was expecting him to be in the movie a lot more, and I was like, oh, and then by the end, I didn't even realize until like the end. I was like, wait, where's Christopher Walken?
Yeah, he shows up at Ben Affleck's store. He's a cop, and he just goes on and on. I think I stopped listening, honestly. He just kept talking until the end when he's like, I need to go down to the diner and get me some pie.
I need to go down Marie Callender's and get me a big bowl of pie, some ice cream on top, and good. Put some on your head.
You want to come with me? Yeah, so bizarre, that whole scene. Same with Al Pacino, because so what happens is the main mobster guy tells Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, I can't keep doing it, tells the both of them to cut off Brian's thumb, and they aren't going to do it. They're too lighthearted. They love them too much, so they go to the morgue and it's like a cartoon. Mind you, they literally sneak in while Jennifer Lopez is like spilt coffee on a guy, and he cuts the thumb with a plastic knife.
I was so confused by that. Like, how are you supposed to cut somebody's thumb off with a plastic knife?
That doesn't work. That wouldn't work. But yeah, they send that off. Becomes a whole thing, and the head of the mob is Al Pacino. And he has a whole yelling fit at them and the other mobsters, like, you don't try to get money from extort a federal agent. And he has a whole yelling match. And I actually agree. I wouldn't say it's a good performance, but at least at least he's doing something.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, he's so little in the plot. It doesn't really affect the movie really for me. But it's just. It's just the Razzies, they like to nominate people just because they're famous. And it's just like, oh, they were in the movie for 5 seconds. Let's nominate them.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I mean, that sets the rest of the plot. It's because, like I said, nothing really happens. That happens. And then they are like, okay, we're going to go run away now. And that's like the last 30 minutes of the movie is them running away, taking Brian the Baywatch because they're filming a commercial, which is probably the dumbest part of the plot, because they're just like, they're going to run away and they're just going to leave Brian on this beach in the middle of filming a commercial. They're leaving him behind. And it's like, are you seriously going to do this? You care for this kid and you're just going to leave him alone? What's going to happen to him?
Well, they said the guys were coming for him, so I guess
did they? Okay,
yeah,
good. But still, they're leaving him alone for a little bit too long.
He was having a good time. He met an Australian girl, and
oh yes,
that scene was so dumb too, because she like they show up, and they're like, all right, everybody come in, we're gonna do our big dance number and partner up with somebody. And he partners up, he sees a blonde woman, and of course she's Australian. and and but like he's mentally handicapped, and like she's like, oh, like I'm from Australia. And then he just spouts out about the Australian weather, and then she's just like, wow, that's so amazing, that, like,
Yeah, they hit it off,
like I mean, like, you're like, just say, oh, okay, like, thanks.
Yeah, exactly. If someone clear weather from Melbourne
New
to
South Wales.
yeah, awesome. And then they dance together. I mean, it worked for him.
Yeah.
Use it on your next time for a pickup line. Give it a shot.
Does it have to be Australia? Can I pick another country's weather?
Whatever country the lady is from, or man, whatever, it works.
So you mean
it
I
works
gotta
both
memorize?
ways.
You mean I have to memorize every country's weather, and just in case I run into them?
Well, you just make it up. You make it up. Okay, you make up the weather, and
He didn't make it up.
You also have to guess what country they're from because you can't ask that first.
He didn't guess. He knew.
Yes, he did. That's right, because he called in. I wonder how much money that did cost. Because that's what
$5.
$5. Yeah. Ben Affleck abuses him too, like pushes him on the wall and stuff. My God.
Oh yeah, and they call him, the R word, a couple of times, and
yeah. I didn't realize that was even an element in this movie. All I knew was that Jennifer Lopez was gay. That's all I knew.
I knew like next to nothing. And the only thing I knew was the very famous line of dialogue from the movie is when Jennifer Lopez is like sitting seductively on the bed, and it's like, it's turkey time, gobble gobble
gobble. She says it with a straight face, so good for her.
Well, I mean, like so what you mentioned earlier, when they're like having their little like flirtatious game, Ben Affleck says, there's two people in relationships. You got bulls and cows. It's like, and I'm a bull, you're a cow. So you do what I say. And then, it turns out like he's the femme one in the relationship. And, that's what she's looking for in a relationship, to kind of be like the more masculine one. So she's like, say, okay, now who's the bull and who's the cow? And he goes, just,
You're laughing. You thought it was funny.
No, I'm just laughing.
It's funny in the most ironic way possible. Like I can't believe that this is said. And you're right. They don't even have chemistry, which is crazy because famously they would break up, but now they're together again. They're married, so
they were destined to be together.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, Jennifer Garner's left to the side.
He really loves Jennifer's.
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
The one thing that surprised me the most about this movie is how graphically violent like some scenes were. Like, like with the one scene, the reason why they went to the hospital in the first place is because Jennifer Lopez's ex shows up at the door and like, what, you're with guys now? Like, what is this? And then, like, what, you want to have a threesome with that? You're like, is this what you want? And then she grabs a butcher knife and just slices her wrist, like right in the kitchen.
I was so surprised by that scene because it shows it like literally she lifts up her arms, slits her wrists, and blood starts flowing. And I just was like, okay, this isn't funny. If this is supposed to be funny, it's not funny at all.
Yeah, I was just like, because when she did like the knife motion, like I thought she was just like playing like, I'm gonna do it, and then and her blood just starts flowing out of her arms, and it's just like, okay. And then the scene too where Al Pacino is like, and yelling at Ben Affleck and Jennifer Lopez, he shoots one of the other mobsters, and like just blood just splatters everywhere.
Yeah, that one also got me too. No, it's so weird. Like it's just a mix of just bad elements, right? Like just like things don't work together. messy script, messy jokes. Maybe not your right pick for that main stars of the movie. Because you know who originally was supposed to be in this? Halle Berry was Ricky, and then Adam Brody auditioned for the role of Brian, which I think is so funny. I think Ben Affleck was tied to Gigli for a long time, but
it's awful. I mean, like, it's not even like there are talented people in this movie. It's not like,
no, I
it's not,
agree.
and I mean, Martin Brest, like you said, directed Beverly Hills Cop, which was like one of the most popular comedies out of the 80s. And then, directed Al Pacino in an Oscar winning role for Sin of a Woman, and Midnight Run is a great comedy too. So it's not like he doesn't know what he's doing. And, Ben Affleck, he was kind of a joke then a little bit, but, we do know that he is talented and he could turn in good performances. And, I think he's much more comfortable, in the director's chair, though, because I think because kind of after this movie, it was just like a real long string of just like duds.
Yeah, exactly. He finally found his footing, like what worked for him.
Right. Because I remember, like, he was in that movie Smoking Aces, and it was like, and that was like supposed to be like a cameo, like, he was like a fading star at that point, where it was like, and like, but and now but then the very next year, he did Gone Baby Gone, and that got a lot of acclaim, so that's when his career started turning around again.
Exactly. And then he got to make Argo, one of the greatest movies ever made.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. All right. We'll move on from there. But anyway, exactly. No, there's talented people here, but it's just I don't know, crazy. Also, one more time, I got to say, how did this movie cost $75 million?
Well, I think it's the reshoots that they had to do. I think that was kind of like, I think they said it was originally like, I think like 20 million or something, and then like with all like the reshoots and everything, and they're trying to cash in on the tabloid stuff with them, that they had to do reshoots, and they do more chemistry scenes, and I'm sure they had to like repay them to come do reshoots. So it was probably just like a big mess, and it's just like, and I think that's why Martin Brest, he said it was such a miserable studio experience with this movie.
Enough to make a man quit Hollywood.
Where he just like, I'm done, career over.
I can't imagine being in that awful of an experience. No, I get it. It's one of those movies, like I said, I had fun watching it. It was like watching like a really funny train wreck. I don't know if is that a thing? Does that exist? But I wouldn't recommend watching it. If you want to find a good way to waste 2 hours of your time, let's not do this one. You can find something else.
Like, maybe I would have liked it like on that level if it was a little shorter, but man, like that 2 hours, it drags so hard.
And that plot I described to you is the plot of the movie. Like, there is not a lot going on.
I mean, there's other goofy scenes where it's like, like Brian's like, hey, read me a bedtime story. and he's like, and he doesn't want to read, and so he has to like read him like ingredients and like package description, and just like, like, there's such dumb scenes. And I just, like I said, for me, it was very torturous, like one of the most painful experiences on here, where it was just like,
wow, okay, wow.
I was hoping this movie would be over quicker, and so no, I do not recommend it. I don't think you should even seek it out. There's nothing in here worthwhile, in my opinion.
Wow, what a way to start Razzie Month. Yes, that's what I like to hear. That's right. So here we go. Why don't we ask this? Did the Razzies get it right? Was this
what?
awful?
Well, let me. I want to see what the nominees were that year. So we should do that. Like each what the other things that was nominated against.
Unfortunately, we didn't watch them all, so I'm sure there's something I'm at least missing here.
Okay, well, for worst picture that year, uh it was Gigli, The Cat in the Hat, Charlie's Angels, Full Throttle, From Justin to Kelly, and The Real Cancun, which is that
What the hell is the
like
real?
that was MTV like trying to make like a reality television movie, and
Oh, kind of
so
like Real World.
yeah, exactly like that.
Oh, ooh, that sounds rough.
And then
Uh,
I haven't seen From Justin to Kelly, but I've seen Charlie's Angels and Full Throttle and The Cat in the Hat, and I would watch both of those movies before that. I would watch this again. So
yeah,
I'm going.
go
I'm
on.
going to say yes, they got it right.
Yeah, exactly. Like I totally agree, and we're the exact same. I haven't seen the bottom two movies, but I would rather watch Cat in the Hat and Charlie's Angels any day of the week. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, cool. Well, then we are gonna go ahead and close the book on Gigli. But Ryan, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, I I need to melt my cold icy heart from this movie with a
Uh-huh.
nice warm island feel. And you know what? What better way to just
Mm-hmm.
mix a couple of cocktails with the movie Cocktail?
Yes. Okay. Perfect. I'm excited to watch that one. Um,
Yes, and that one is streaming over on the Criterion channel.
awesome. All right. Well, if you want to send us an email, you can email us at driveanddoubleFeaturePodcast@gmail.com. You can also X at us over at DIDF Pod. Please defend Gigli over there. I want to hear your defense for this wonderful movie. And also, you can check us out on YouTube. But until next time.
Until next time.